Hello and thank you for joining us on the Thursday edition of Journalists Hangout. I'm Binga Oreshegun. Today on the program, motorists stranded as flood overruns Lagos communities as government issues flood alert to 15 states. Abdul Samad Rabiu forecast 1,400 naira to a dollar exchange rate by year's end, says President Tinubu's reforms are ending businesses' reliance on CBN for forex. And later on the show, President Tinubu dignitaries storm Ibadan as city prepares for Ladoja's coronation. Well, I'll be hanging out with Tunde Abaton and Tony Nwaje. Journalist Hangout starts right now.
Are you a foreign national living in Nigeria with an expired visa? Don't panic. The Nigeria Immigration Service has introduced a special amnesty program just for you. You've overstayed your visa on arrival, your single entry visa has expired, or comprehensive expatriate residence permit and automated card (SAPAC) is overdue by more than 30 days. This is an opportunity to regularize your stay without penalties. Hurry, as this grace period ends on 30th September 2025, and from October 1st, enforcement begins and violators will face immigration action. So don't wait until it's too late. This is more than a policy, it's a gesture of hope. Visit www.immigration.gov.ng or amnesty.immigration.gov.ng. This message is from the Nigeria Immigration Service.
Now let's begin the conversation. Natural disasters test the nation's preparedness and response capabilities, revealing the vulnerability of urban infrastructure to climate extremes. Motorists found themselves stranded across Lagos State yesterday as hours of torrential rainfall triggered devastating flash floods that paralyzed vehicular and business activities in several communities. The deluge wreaked havoc in flood-prone areas including Maryland, Lekki, Ogba and Ikorodu, forcing residents and business owners to watch helplessly as their homes and shops were overrun by rushing waters. Multiple videos circulating on social media platforms captured the extent of the crisis, showing residents wading through flooded neighborhoods while motorists crawled at snail's pace on waterlogged roads. The situation deteriorated further as vehicles broke down on submerged streets, trapping commuters in hours-long gridlocks and leaving many stranded without alternative transportation options. Really sad because I saw some of the videos, most of the people living in Lekki, it was sad. But Lagos, being a coastal city, is vulnerable to flooding, especially during heavy rainfall. But talk to me today, how much of the flooding can be attributed to poor drainage versus the intensity of the rainfall?
Well, like we say, you see, in any civilized climate, planning meets success.
Okay.
For you to get anything done, you have to plan towards it. It is not new, and it has always been part of Lagos. The peculiar nature of Lagos is a coastal area. It's a city under the sea level. So you expect such a thing to happen. But unfortunately, either for three principal reasons, we fail to acknowledge the nature of Lagos because of the coastal. Because when you acknowledge there's a problem, you plan towards solving or mitigating that problem. Number two is the fact that Nigerians themselves, we ourselves, we have a natural penchant for obstructing free flow of water. When you know that before you get your permit, people bribe their way to build their own preferred areas, not areas as outlined by the Town Planning Authority. Lagos has Town Planning Authority, and each of the different areas in Lagos, both the mainland, the island, and the coastal area, that is Lekki, that are much more below the sea level, they have planning authorities that are approved. But when you also look at the fact of corruption, people want to build anywhere, they want to bribe their way, because you cannot remove that one. Number three is the fact that I will also blame government relatively, in the sense that we have to we have emphasized this in January this year. Both the NIMET and others want that there's going to be flooding in 21 states of Nigeria, not even 15 states. All these ones are just flash. So I think we can, by now, government should have put something in place because you cannot stop it. There's climate change all over the world. Sure. And the intensity of the water here is going to be much because of the nature of Lagos. So we have to have a permanent place where we can always relocate people. You cannot remove everybody on the front plane, but we have to also execute and enforce town planning laws. Because you tell most of this area, like Mende, Maryland, people build on flood plains. And water we always find is level.
Especially the Odo Yalaru in Maryland.
All these areas, water we always find is level. So when water finds its level, it has no respect of possible. I could remember the Ogba flood in Ibadan. It was because people deliberately build on the surface of the water. And the thing came, and nobody can stop it. A lot of lives were lost. So I think we can also mitigate this thing by obedience to lay down regulations.
True.
Yes, if Lagos has not been planned before, now Lagos has not been planned. I also give kudos to the Commissioner for Environment in Lagos.
Yeah, talking about
it has been a good job that the guy is doing.
That's my best man.
Over a very long period of time, we have violated the environment by building on areas that are recognized as flood zones.
All right, let me bring Tony in, because Tokumba, he came up with a statement. He apologized to Lagosians, and he also talked about people who build on floodplain areas and all. But what lessons does this event reveal about Nigeria's preparedness, you know, when it comes to disaster preparedness at both the federal and the state level?
Okay, let's just say, I'll look at it this way. Because I live in Lagos, so let me say Lagos.
We all do.
So Lagos, year in, year out, always prepare. I think the population of Lagos is another issue we have to look into. Yeah, Lagos State has always been ahead of this. But just, we all know it's a coastal city, so it will happen and happen and happen again. The people here has a role to play, because most times you call government. I'm not even calling federal government in this case. We as a people have a role to play. The period before now, we saw how Lagos State were going around saying, you built here, this is water movement channel. Exactly. You're building it here. And I know the sentiment and all that, the emotion and people poured out. If we are sincere to ourselves, we have a big role to play. We block drainage channels. We built in places we're not supposed to build. Though government in this case has played a complicit role here. Because, of course, people go there, they people come to
approval.
I mean, you see, and a whole building is completely built, then tomorrow it becomes destroyed. So government needs, I think, at this point, more proactive, but then it will solve it. What we solve is this. There's no way we can solve it 100%. It's the preparedness, because after this year, 2026, we're going to sit down here again and analyze this, because we've been, I can't remember how many times we talked about that.
Do you think we need to overhaul all the drainage channel networks, all the drainage channels in Lagos? Do you think they need to do some sort of overhaul?
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Government can do it. Why it looks as if I'm commending government, Lagos State government in particular, is because I've seen before now. I want to use the example of where I live, around where I live. I think around since July, I've seen there's a big, I don't want to call it the area. It's a big, they clear the sewage, they clear the waterways. It's a big one, approaching Third Mainland Bridge. They've been there, I think, since July. Okay. And they've been, and I think around the Old Peak again, around Bega, Omole area. You see big, what's this thing that clears the waste from river? Sitting there for like a month, trying to clear. There's another one I saw around the Jaraba. So government seems to be ahead of this game, but they cannot completely do this. Maybe at a point, the federal needs to, because Lagos State is not like any other state. Lagos State used to be the capital of this country before.
Okay, now because of our time.
Sorry. So let me learn now. So I think at a point, the federal government needs to assist Lagos, because we cannot be doing this year in, year out. There's no way government can do what you just recommended. Okay. Completely, 100%. It's not possible.
The government has issued warnings to 15 states. But let me ask you, just in 1 minute, if you can give me that answer. If you were to be in charge, what key priorities would you set for the country, to pursue in order to mitigate the long-term impacts of the ongoing climate change?
Well, it is enforcement of law.
Enforcement,
because we have laws that are not being enforced. When people violate the law, like I said, we have violated the environment several times by building on floodplains, by not taking resources. So government should try but not look at anybody. That's why I say I like that commissioner for environment. There's no way he has been working around the clock. But people have built on floodplains for a long period of time. And because of the lack of willingness on probably successful governments to enforce that particular law, people will continue doing this with impunity. Okay. So we have to enforce our environmental law and ensure that laws are not broken. And when laws are broken, people face the penalty. At whatever cost to them.
Oh, okay. Just in 30 seconds, what flood preparedness, now they've issued it, just in 30 seconds, what kind of infrastructure should be in place?
Again, government is doing enough. The people, in fact, it has to be both sides.
Collective responsibility.
We must come together to help the situation. It's not one-sided.
As a proactive measure. All right, let's move straight to our next conversation. The pursuit of global